everybody, this is Frankie Abbruzzino with the Uncensored Report or Scoop News. I wrote an article yesterday about sanctuary cities, and it was based upon a story that came out of Maryland, a story that was largely neglected by major media, except for Fox as of yesterday morning. I think I started seeing it a little bit more play today because a lot of people were disturbed about it. And essentially, you had two illegal immigrants that were in schools, and they were placed into the freshman classes. They met this 14-year-old and savagely raped her within the bathroom. One of them was 18, and he was essentially supposed to be deported, but he ignored the deportation request and was still here within the school system. Um, and it brought to light some questions, and I was just wondering, so how does Sarasota County handle it? And I went out, I contacted their communication guy, which is Scott Ferguson. I said, do you guys have statistics? What's going on? And one of the questions I asked was, do you have precautions or the school board in place where you can monitor the bathrooms and secluded areas on campus? This goes beyond illegals. I all too often I hear of situations where kids are abused within bathrooms. We remembered the two girls that beat the heck out of that one girl and killed her just last year in the bathroom. And I know it's difficult to be everywhere all the time, but what controls, what systems are in place? And just in the drugs alone, I have one kid that went to Venice High School. She's at USF now. The other one's still there. And I hear some stuff. I know a lot of the inside stuff. And I got to tell you, I think bathrooms should be monitored from what I'm hearing. And I believe that a lot of the administrators believe the same thing. What I don't like is Ferguson, and I've had issues with this guy before. Going back to when I broke the story about the psychiatrist at Northport High School and Venice Elementary, that was allegations of him doing sexual things with his foster child. I contacted Scott in December. I told him he didn't know anything about it, and everyone just hammered me for putting the information out there. Lo and behold, 8 months later, he worked for the school system for those whole 8 months. It comes out that it was accurate. And I knew it was accurate because I had the exact court date. I had all the filing numbers, everything. And they all chose to ignore me. And so did Scott. Scott Ferguson did nothing about it, which is a little alarming. So what he does is he just copies and pastes something to me. We're not doing anything because of Plyler versus Doe. So basically, the school board is hiding behind some law to give them reason to not check stuff. I think someone had a valid point when they said, when you check your kids into school, you got to fill out all these documents, basically detailing everything about your kid. You got to vaccinate them. You got to provide birth certificates. Even when you join sports, when my kids signed for soccer and softball, you got to show birth certificates. You have to do everything. Yet for some reason, illegals can come in undocumented. In my article, I mentioned MS-13, and I'm amazed. I was out at a rally against Trump at what is it? 5 Seasons or whatever it is out there in Sarasota. And I asked the girl, I go, well, what about MS-13? She's like, what's MS-13? And some people said that yesterday, so I put a link to it. But basically, this is an El Salvadorian gang that has spread throughout the United States. They're into drugs, but what's really the biggest focus of this gang is how cruel and harsh they are. They will go out and beat the hell out of people just for the heck of it. They're known to penetrate into the schools. And that's when I suggested that. I said, basically what they're saying is we don't know, we don't check their paperwork, we don't check for anything. We just let them in because they're here and they want to go to school. So you could come in, and this has happened, folks. That's why I referred to it and said this hypothetical. You could come in as a 23-year-old, say you're 17, get into the school system. You can get to know all these kids, where the core of your drugs are going to go to. You can set up a network. You can kill people. You can kill them via getting them addicted to drugs, which may lead to an overdose. You could actually kill them. And that's because the schools are not vetting. And I wanted people to be aware of that fact. I basically knew this before I even wrote Scott, that the schools do not vet. They have no idea. I know of a few illegals within the county that are going to the schools that are nothing but trouble. And I think one person said, the kids didn't do this. No, they didn't do it, but they're here illegally. Their parents came here illegally. everyone, people try to pull that whole immigration card on me. What a lot of people don't realize is that my dad, my uncles, my aunts, my grandma, grandpa, they all legally immigrated here to the United States. So why is it that somebody can come here illegally and not go through the same process that my fathers, aunts, uncles, and everybody else had to go through? They should, and it's called vetting. It's called a process. You should go through it. I tell you what, you can't do this in Italy. You can't just walk into Italy and say, I'm here, and they'll start you up in school and everything. It doesn't work that way. I know. I went through the process. I lived there for a year. And so I wanted to bring attention to that fact. And I don't even know if the school board members are aware of this fact. Who knows? I'll send this. I'll send this story and this video report over to them and see. 'Cause I think it's a little alarming that we as citizens have to go through all these processes, yet an illegal, undocumented illegal can just be taken in open arms. They don't have to prove their age. They don't have to prove anything. There's no vetting, no background check to see if they're viable, if their stories are valid, and what the situation is. And that should concern everybody. That's just my thought on it, especially with the penetration of a lot of the Central American gangs that are coming up this way and pushing the drugs. As we see, the drugs are getting worse and worse. Now, I get it. The kid could be a 17-year-old straight-A student. I understand that. But when you vet them out and you ask the question, you'll find that out. And then you say, hey, we'll help you out. And how about just the funding? We don't even have enough money to open up the 3 new high schools that Sarasota County wants. We don't have enough money to pay our teachers. We don't have enough money to buy a lot of the supplies and books in the schools. Yet we have enough money to put these illegals through the school system. And essentially, when you're doing that, aren't you taking away from the actual citizens that are going through the school system? Taking away from their education, taking away from everybody else to help this individual? And I believe we got to be the open arms, the country with open arms. But I think multiculturalism is killing us, and being politically correct is killing us as a society. And that's my thoughts. What say you? This has been Frankie Abbruzzino with the Uncensored Report.